Good morning, and welcome back to Saturday Morning Switch. This week, as promised, we're taking a look at the Splatoon 2 Global Testfire, which is currently ongoing as this episode goes live, with a couple more sessions to come today and tomorrow. Now, I must admit, I have not had a lot of experience with the original Splatoon. I've seen it in action, and I've played one or two games, but not enough to make any kind of substantial opinion about it. So I was kind of going into this fairly fresh, and the good news is I really enjoyed it. As much as you can enjoy a game when you're simultaneously recording the latest episode of the Party Chat podcast, so have the sound on minimum. As such, I can't really comment on the soundtrack, although the little snippets I've heard watching back the footage seem to have been pretty good and pretty enjoyable. The other easy thing to note is the game is really bright and colourful, which really does help it stand out from its competition. Obviously this was a thing with Splatoon 1 as well, but I really can't undersell how much that makes it kind of feel fun and refreshing. In terms of network connectivity, I only had one disconnect halfway through, otherwise it worked fine for the entire hour, and I think that problem could well have more been on my end because a quick restart of the app fixed that. So network wise, thumbs up. As for the game, in this demo you get 4 different weapons. There's the dual pistols, a kind of regular gun, the long range sniper, and the roller. I played a couple of games with each to try and get used to them, and I discovered that I am by far the best with the dual pistols, as they allow me the most versatility of movement and shooting. The sniper was cool, but kind of felt a bit too hard to get off good shots with, especially when you are in close quarters with your opposition. The splat roller again was another kind of fun weapon and really good for like getting a load of gunk down on your certain screen at the start of the game, but I felt like it was a bit tricky sometimes to try and get a kill on the opponents with them. But hey, again, I'm not a Splatoon veteran, that's probably just me. As for the regular weapon, I couldn't really see like what the advantage was. I saw other people, I believe it was with that weapon, doing the special where they would fly through the air, and that was cool. However, due to the fact that the game pushes you through the tutorial in about 30 seconds and lets you do whatever you want during it, so once you've gotten the basic controls you ignore what it tells you and just happily run around, and then it throws you into a game which is not conducive to teaching players how to do the basics. Either way, yeah, I had no clue how to do specials, which is why you won't see me do any specials in the footage here. And I felt that was kind of a theme sometimes, that the game failed to communicate certain elements of the controls or stuff like that. I didn't realise the options menu was there until I literally got to the end. The maps actually as well, that's another kind of one I do want to talk about. So I have no problem with like, you press your button, it opens up a giant map of the battlefield and that lets you like jump to other squids. That's perfectly fine. However, I feel the lack of a mini-map to kind of like help you gorge, even though the maps aren't huge, that would be kind of really useful just to help gorge the local surroundings and local player locations, and I feel that's something that is sorely missing in this game. Also the fact that when you then you bring up the map and it literally takes over the screen. Like, I assume on the Wii U it was more on the lower pad, but yeah, it really... It's and I couldn't see a way to cancel out of it either, or maybe I just wasn't pressing the right buttons, but it felt like once you'd open that up you were locked onto it, and it was kind of annoying and got in the way. So I feel map is one of the big things that does need work. Also the fact, and I guess this is a thing with Splatoon, but the lack of being able to swap weapons mid-game means you can't really react to different changing environments. Like, there were plenty of games where we took a hammering early on, and you've got no real ability to react to that, as far as I could see. You're stuck with what you pick, which I guess is cool in some ways, but seeing as you can't, like, you then, like, go join into pre-join lobbies, so you pick a weapon, then you join the lobby. So it's not like you can pick based, say, like an Overwatch, where you can pick based on what other people pick. You seem to be fairly locked into this. Again, like, that could be just me, and maybe I missed an incredibly obvious option, which you can all shout at me in comments and on Twitter for. But I felt like that's something that you really do kind of need in a modern multiplayer shooter. In terms of the maps, I can't say I had any like issues with them, although then again I can't also say that either of them particularly stood out. Like, I would struggle to tell you the defining features of both. I guess one had a bridge in the middle and one had a ramp in the middle, maybe. Like, the maps were good fun, don't get me wrong, and I was happy enough to play the game over and over again for the hour, but I couldn't name you a distinguishing feature of either map. The game mode low, even though I won the demo, worked perfectly well, and I could see myself playing that just turf war alone for hours on end, which is always a good sign. So yeah. Oh, and I will say, like, another thing about, because one of the things in the options is like the whole motion control, because obviously now you've got a right stick and the ability to move the right thing you're holding in your hand with the right stick. And yeah, actually, like, and because there's a button as well to reset your viewpoint, I feel that's a pretty good way of doing it. And like, it took me a little bit to get used to, and there are certainly some times you can see in this where I'm just being cack-handed, but that's because I'm concentrating on multiple things at once. I feel like if I was sat down properly doing this, that would work pretty well. And you can like turn that off if you want to, that's a thing in the options, as well as like colour options. If you're suffer from one of the various types of colour blindness, there are ways you can change the game to benefit you, and that is kind of really kind of smart. But again, I imagine that was in the first game. So yeah. So basically, yeah, I had a lot of fun playing Splatoon 2, the Global Testfire. I'm certainly going to try it out a few more times over the course of the weekend and see how it works when I'm not recording a podcast at the same time. But yeah, I really kind of enjoyed it. I feel with a bit more like clarity in terms of controls. So as in just the thing that tells you a bit more clearly, this is what you need to do this. And the map, the mini-map, I still feel that's a big thing this game needs. But I feel like these are all small tweaks. The actual core gameplay, as you'd expect, seems pretty solid. I will say, the other thing I did notice is that I can't feel much of a difference between this and what I've seen in Splatoon 1. Like, it just feels like Splatoon Plus, more than Splatoon Golden, whatever you want to call it. It feels more like an enhanced port than it does necessarily an entire new game. Which, hey, it gets Splatoon out to a new audience, which is awesome. But at the end of the day, like, if you have played the original to death, I'm not sure if there's anything particularly brand new and sparkling here that justifies buying a Switch and the presumably £50 or so price point of this game, I'm assuming. So yeah, Splatoon 2 does get a thumbs up for me as a relatively new player to it. Hard to say how much it offers to veterans, but yeah, if you got a Switch, check it out this weekend. It's good fun. That's pretty much it for this week's episode. I'm not sure what we'll be covering next week. We'll wing it and see what comes out. And the good news is that World of Goo, Little Inferno and Human Resource Machine, which I talked about ages back as being Switch launch titles and weren't, are finally out now as well, along with another Neo Geo classic game. So if you've been waiting for those games, great, they're available now. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, give us a like, give us a comment, subscribe, and you can check out more episodes of this and the Party Chat podcast. And we will see you next time. Bye.